So yes, as it winds down, another school year behind us. Come on, this is a reminder again. This is for who but the leaders, the righteous ones, the ones that's really what? Desiring to lead. Yeah. See, to be an effective leader, one has to be accountable, honest with self. If it's hard for self to accept things that one does to others or to self, that person's going to be hard for that person to lead because that person is probably selfish. See, we got to deal with it or you don't. See, that's the truth. You see, words, they got value. So if they don't value your words, then stop speaking in here. It's that simple. Invest your words in those that desire to hear you, those that desire to understand you, those that desire to respect what you are, and who you are, and what God is to you. See, that's the part. This last few days, we got to make sure that we're dealing with whatever it is that's still not right in us, so that we don't start another routine, situationship, relationship, school year, job, whatever it is that you are desiring to start again, right? You got to make sure that you're not caught up rewinding the clock, right? And what I mean by that is rewinding the clock is repeating the things that you are unaware that you do, right? Lessons again. This is all love and in love for all here. So let's make sure that we don't get caught up in the fence or in our feelings in here, because to be an effective leader, you got to make sure that you're honest with self, right? You got to make sure that you're responsible about self. If you're more offended about others' reaction or response to things that your choices or your actions have done to them, then the selfishness in you is disqualifying you from being a leader, an ultimate leader, right? It's the parent that is aware that it's their job not only to be present, but it's their job to make sure that they're providing the things, not the physical things only, but the things, right? The tools, the abilities, the examples, the way about themselves that their children are following here. So let's get caught up. You see, the year is coming to an end, and many of us, right, we are getting ready to do whatever we do during the summer, right? During the summer heat. See, I need you to ask yourself here, what is it that you're going to leave in the hottest of this season? What is it that you're going to allow God to burn off for you? Right? Because remember, summer is just an introduction to the fall. And the fall for us is another school year. Right? So today we got to make sure that we are locking in. Right? Locking into truth. Because it's a lot of people that's not living in truth. They're living in everything but truth. They do things and they didn't do it, or they'll say things and they didn't say it, or it did. And those type of people, if you can't actually see that you are responsible, then there's really nothing that anybody can do. Even the grace that they want to show you, or the mercy or the forgiveness, they can't. You can't forgive somebody that's not sorry for ultimately what they do. Deflecting is not an action or a viable answer to dealing with what our actions do to you, right? Because when we be honest about that, actions, whose actions? But our actions in here, right? It's time for us to really embrace accountability. Because if we are honest with ourselves, and we know it in here, we know it, that it's all possible in him, through him, right? Christ. But if we are our Christ, or our higher understanding, and it's not truly about God or some type of higher power than us, then it's going to be on our own limited and selfish understanding in here. Because, most selfish people, if they're naturally selfish, how could they actually, right, learn or hear from you? The selfishness in them gonna make them only hear what matters to them. They're not gonna hear you. They're not gonna process you. They're not gonna value you enough to care what it is that you are communicating about their actions and what it did to you, or how it affected you. So we gotta all take a moment and grasp that. Grasp that. Like, the ability to apply the things that we don't like to hear. Be accountable about the things that we did to get us to where we are here. See, those type of things. And that don't matter who you are. Don't matter what your race is. Don't matter how old you are. We as people could all do better. But we can't do better if we don't own it. We don't own what we don't do well. If we don't own what we don't do right, then how could we hear to correct what we ultimately have created? The thing that we're actually complaining about is a product of what they created. And, you know, I'm realizing when you are honest and accountable, not everybody around you is going to be willing to hear. What I've been hearing a lot is when you hold people accountable, they're going to tell you they don't want to hear it. When it's about them owning their part, what they did, how they got there, they're going to tell you they don't want to hear it. That's why you got to be up to you. You got to be committed to you and your growth and your healing and your journey. Because if you're not, you'll never reach new heights. And I think we all should desire to reach new heights. Remember, the call to ministry is about the legacy that we're going to leave, right? Of course, I want my legacy to be that I'm going to live. Those that know what this cancer journey, of course, I want my journey to be I'm going to live, of course. But I think the legacy is, what do you actually want to leave when you're gone? And I think that's some real shacks ourselves. Some just want to leave praise or money. But some of us, we desire to leave something even greater than that. Like a foundation for ours. Beacon of hope for others. A word of inspiration to somebody that may be in need. Or maybe just an introduction to Jesus. But those that are doing it got to be careful that they're not wasting the words on those that don't want to hear it. Listen to people. Listen to them when they're speaking. If you don't value their words, then it's probably less about them and more about you. See, selfishness isn't about what you do. Selfishness is about what you expect. So let's make sure this, as the school year comes to an end, the parents, we're making sure that we're sending our kids back to school better. But it got to start with us being more accountable as to where we are and why, as a nation, we still stuck going back. Instead of pointing the finger at who and what and where, each of us as adults, American adults, we got to ask ourselves, what is it that we're going to be leaving to our children? What is the legacy going to be about for those of us that were born after 1980? What is it going to look like for ours? Because as somebody that was born in the 80s, I hate to say America is deceiving itself to make itself believe that they are a lot further along than where we are. Divided, disgusted, demonic, deceiving, delusional, dumb, as a collective. And that's, you are American. That applies to all of us. dumb? Why are we still focusing on the differences in us and not coming to agreement as to what we need to do to get delivered from it? Divided. Why are we still talking about color when it was really only one human race? Why are we delaying God's promise to free the world from evil? Why are we so prejudiced? I mean, I'm not going to point at one group of people. Those of y'all that know, y'all know. I did my DNA. So I have a quarter European, so I ain't finna point out nobody. Unless I'm speaking individual, I'll never speak to as a collective. But prejudice. How are we still so dumb? And I mean as a collective. Like, disgusting and still dealing with prejudice. Demonic. Why are we so divided? Why is it so disgusting in America? What I mean by disgusting, how could we spend so much on other nations' infrastructure, or one nation, Israel, infrastructure? How are we spending so much money on wars and the average person is barely getting by? No matter what they actually are deceiving themselves into believing about themselves, most Americans are just barely getting by. They one bad day from being in a position where they can't actually get out of that ditch. All of us. It could be a sickness, it could be an injury, it could be a hardship, it could be a death. But we're all just one of those away from being in a place where no one seems to care. That bottom. It's time for the Americans to deal with. The truth is, you shouldn't be a MAGA person, you shouldn't be a liberal, you shouldn't be a conservative, you shouldn't be any of these subgroups. You should be first. First, you should be part of humanity. Right? I'm not going to speak on how you should be connected to your higher power. I'm not going to do none of that. What I am going to say is, if we all keep delaying the truth, yeah, I got you. Truth that if we're all so selfish and we're all so stuck on ourselves, and we're all so divided, and we're all so unable to actually deal with the truth, then how does it change for the future? Remember, this carpool is about working on us so that we could be better examples for the future, right? How could we be better for our children if we won't deal with the issues of our past? And I think the victim mentality isn't coming from one race. The race that they're probably easy to say that it's easy for the blacks to stop complaining. That's the deception. That's the demonic. That's the dumb conversations that's not actually taking the conversation forward. If we could spend $1 billion a week or something like that on a war, right? A nation that did nothing to us. The average American knows that we should not be doing none of this in Iran, right? But how many of us stood up and said no? See, leaders aren't just people that talk about leading. Leaders are leaders because they are actually showing up. Most of us ain't leaders. Most of us are pretenders, pretending to lead. But we ain't gonna go there with that. Again, we're just gonna get on it and stay fixed and focused on where the truth, where it counts. We gotta do better as a nation. We gotta start loving each other. We gotta start caring about each other. We gotta start holding each other accountable. That if that group of people is not pushing what's loving and hopeful and better for the nation, then that group of people should be the people that the world should be going after. If we still delayed, dumb, divided, talking about white power, then maybe the world should actually see how dumb, divided, and demonic that narrative is. I know a lot of people ain't willing to hear that, but it's a dumb, divided, right, narrative that makes one group of people believe that they should be superior over another group of people based off of fear. Fear of that group being what? The group that does it back to the group that's constantly doing it to others. Come on, let's wake up. Let's wake up. Let's declare today is the day where we're going to be free from it. All evil will be divided from what? His people. It will be delayed from affecting his people. It would what? Be deemed what? Illegal. In the mighty name of Jesus, we declare it's defeated here. Come on, y'all. So let's get up and let's make sure we remember. It's bigger than that. But we all got a decision. What are you going to do? Are you going to break the cycle? Or are you going to continue to deliver on the evil that you don't even like? Come on, the challenge is to challenge all. For all of us to make the call. And in the end, if he makes the call, you got to be willing to pick up. See, to pick up means that you got to be willing to change. To be willing to change requires that you are willing to make the necessary what? Changes. So you got to hear, you got to process, and more importantly, you got to be willing to be uncomfortable in the season of transformation. See, today I declare that it's changing in here for all of us that have reached up. In the mighty name, I say what? Jesus, if this is it, then it's you that we trust, but we will not continue to what? Chase. Instead, we're going to let them be. In the mighty name, I'm going to receive all that's for me. See, I'm being accountable. I'm no longer holding on to them or that or what wasn't. Because now I'm reaching up to him. And then I trust Jesus here.